In this edition of the Low Carb Paleo Show, we're going to be chatting with Jennifer Cuevas. Jennifer, just a few short years ago, was ill with a multitude of issues, including high cholesterol, prediabetes, weight gain, Hashimoto's and arthritis. After eventually getting through 7 doctors, she finally found out that she had gluten sensitivity and celiac disease, where even just a crumb from a biscuit could affect her health. Ever since she found out that was the problem, Jennifer has dedicated her life into not only getting herself in tip-top condition, but also helping others who are facing the same health challenges. Let's join Alan and Jennifer in the studio now as we find out how Jennifer got herself back to full health.
Good morning, Jennifer and Mark, and welcome to the Low Carb Paleo Show.
Thank you for having me on the show. I think it's very exciting.
Can you give us a little of your background?
Well, sure. My background is actually one of a twisted road, right? We all have these interesting ways we've ended up where we are. But I grew up here in Ohio in a small town, college town, and really wanted to do nothing but get out of Ohio. So it's kind of ironic that I'm still here. But I actually lived in Chile for a while as an exchange student.
Wow.
And when I returned, I started a career in merchandising. And so I spent about 20 years in the corporate world doing product merchandising, product development, and marketing. And then I went through this incredible health journey, and which has brought me to where I am today, and decided to change my whole career and support people and their health. So that's what I'm doing now.
Excellent.
Thank you.
How did you start your business? There had to be some kind of either day where you decided, okay, this is it, I'm going to start doing this. Did you go back to school, study nutrition, and how did you decide to start your business?
Well, it's been a journey, and it really wasn't one particular moment in time. It's been sort of these building blocks all along, and I was in the corporate world and trying to survive as this gluten-free girl, and it had its challenges, I guess you could say, especially during happy hour and team lunches and all of those good things. And at the time, gluten-free was relatively new to the, not the world by any means, but kind of to the people that I was working with. So after I went gluten-free and then grain-free, and my life changed completely, physically, mentally, socially, I actually had a lot of people approach me and say, wow, what did you do? How did your life change? And if you haven't seen my before and after picture, it's on my website, so you can take a look at that. But I was very gracious to, I really enjoy helping people. And so I started to coach people and sort of teach them what I had learned. And over time have seen a lot of people get well, feel healthier. And so I just decided to start sharing it as much as I could, and realized that this had become my true passion. And so I just started out with a few people, actually mostly through my church, who had seen this tremendous change in my life. And so I just started there, and I now run coaching. I do individual coaching and group coaching, and I give speaking engagements not only about my journey, but about the journeys of all of these people that have kind of come through the same methods and really gotten better, gotten healthier. And so I started actually a support group last summer, and so we've been meeting twice a month since August. And again, just seeing how people's lives are changed and we're supporting one another, it's just been a really great journey. And then the other side of my business and my passion is helping people eat the right things and helping them to understand or realize that their life can be delicious. That's sort of my tagline. So
Right. I understand you also do, are you still doing cooking and baking?
I am. I run a grain-free, soy-free bakery, and I've started to make more paleo items that are dairy and refined sugar-free as well. But it is a dedicated gluten and grain soy-free bakery. And so I also do cook for people as a personal chef, and I actually have a little meals business, and pizzas have started being very popular. So sort of trying lots of different things, and really the core of everything that I do is it's to help this be sustainable for people. It's so that they know that they can succeed doing it, and they don't have to miss out on everything at the potluck or everything, you know, taking their lunch and preparing it and doing all of the work that they need to do to keep it sustainable. How do you find time to sleep? I try to ensure that I get about 6 to 7 hours, but it's, you know, I really recommend 8, but I probably run on about 7. Right. And then every minute of the rest of the day, I am busy.
Yeah.
I can imagine with kids and your business and your presentation, your clients, all that. Yeah. At what point did you started moving into paleo, and why?
Well, I started out gluten-free, and that in and of itself was a fight, because I had actually, after going to 8 doctors, you know, and not finding out what was going on with my body and how I was feeling, I met Dr. Glenn Ackerman through Ohio State University, and he coached me for, you know, 8 or 9 months. I went to all of his classes, and his specialty is nutrigenomics. And so incorporating, he's a medical doctor, but he incorporates nutrition into what he does. And so he had tested me for celiac disease, and it was a Mayo Clinic test. It was a $5,000 test, and it came back and said I didn't have celiac disease. And so for about 8 or 9 months, I did everything that he said. I ate what he told me to eat. I took the 47 vitamins a day that he suggested I take, and it didn't get better. I had eliminated many things from my diet, gluten being one of them in a general sense. So this is the interesting part of the story, is that I was primarily, I didn't go around saying I was gluten-free, but I avoided it, much like I see many people doing these days. They'll avoid the bun, or they'll leave the bread off of whatever they're eating, no noodles, I'll take, rice or something. And so that's sort of where I was at the end of 2009, but I was also miserable, and I was just beside myself. I had put on so much weight. I was just feeling terrible. I was fatigued. My kids actually went away for a Christmas break with their dad, and I decided that I was going to lose weight that week no matter what it took. And so I put myself on a yogurt smoothie diet, the yogurt smoothies that Dr. Ackerman said I could have, and took the vitamins, and I didn't eat anything else for a week. And I gained 10 pounds that week.
Wow.
Merry Christmas to me. Talk about being beside yourself. I was. And so I had a follow-up appointment with him in February of 2010, and I went with the intention of telling him, you are number 8 in this line of doctors that has not been able to help me. I'm done, and went into his office, and he pulled up my labs and said, oh, you don't feel very good, and of course I was bitter at that point. And I said, I've done everything you've told me to do. I have come to your classes, learn all of these things. And he said, Jen, I think you need to go gluten-free. And I said, you're out of your mind. I pretty much am gluten-free. What are you talking about? And besides, my celiac test said that I didn't have it. And he said, well, I hear what you're saying. And of course, I'm saying this nicely now, but I was not very nice at that time, because I was just really at the end of my rope. I mean, I lost my dad to diabetes and heart disease when he was 56 years old. And it was 10 days actually before my son was born. And so it left this place in me that was always, I have to take care of myself to be here for my kids. And so I was not only frustrated and overwhelmed and not feeling good, I was scared at the core of everything. I was just afraid. And so when he said to me, he saw that I wasn't buying into this gluten-free thing. And he said, well, you can do what you want. He said, I think you should try it. I can't explain why your test doesn't say you have it. I can't explain the other things that are going on. You have done everything I told you to do. He said, but look at this number. And it was my CRP, my C-reactive protein number. And he said, based on what I see here and all of your vitamin levels, you're not absorbing the nutrition from the vitamins or the food. And so with this combination of everything, you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke in the next 4 to 6 months.
Oh, sweet.
Right. And I was 38 years old at the time, and I said, oh my gosh, what do I have to do? You know?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes, that just kind of grabbed me. And then I stayed upset because I said, I am gluten-free. Here's my diet log. So he pulls it out and he says, well, see here, after work on, Thursday of last week, you had 2 saltine crackers. And I said, oh gosh, yes, I do. I come home, I'm starving, I've got this craving, whatever, it just usually helps it go away. And he said, well, if you have gluten sensitivity, 1 crumb it could set your body into this pattern that you're not going to get better for weeks. And I just looked at him like he was from outer space. So I kind of, withdrew for a few days and mourned and grieved. And then I started. And, I really didn't give up that much gluten at that time because I'd already done some of that work, thankfully. But the first 2 weeks, I thought he was, again, crazy because I felt horrible. I had a migraine that just would not go away. I was nauseated. I thought I had the flu. I almost called the office and said, what's going on here? Because I think I've come down with something. And of course, now in retrospect, I know that I was going through withdrawal. Yeah. So, right. And from that, just a bit. But I will say the other thing I was eating at the time, I was a huge candy-holic. Oh my gosh. So the sweet tarts and and not chocolate so much, but it's the sweet tarts and the lollipops and all the candy, the Skittles, etc. Those were the things that I over time, I did give those up. And so within those first 2 weeks, after getting over these symptoms, I knew he was right. I started to lose weight. I started to feel better. And then it was just every week I started to feel a little bit better, lose a little bit more weight, and in 6 months I lost 34 pounds. And my cholesterol came down. I could tell the inflammation was reducing. But what started happening, and he had warned me, he said, you really shouldn't go into these gluten-free products, but, I know, these ones are okay, these ones stay away from, those types of things. And I sort of loosely listened to that. And I got hooked on Udi's cookies. So, so this is the same year, and I've lost 34 pounds, and life is starting to look good. I'm still sort of questioning in my mind, gosh, why am I still pretty far overweight? And so I also started developing arthritis in my knees to the point where I was having trouble walking down the stairs, not even up the stairs, it was down the stairs. And I was in the corporate environment still and trying to figure all this out during that time. And I came across Dr. Peter Osborne's website, Gluten Free Society, and he asked questions like, are you gluten-free but not healthy yet, or not, are you still sick? And then I started reading more about that. And so in 2012 is when I went grain-free, completely grain-free, and I could not believe the difference that made in such a short time. And it seems to have, quote-unquote, healed all my wounds, if you will. My cholesterol came down the rest of the way, and I'd gotten my lab numbers again right before this, and just the difference in that short amount of time, my cholesterol, my weight, my blood pressure, which was not high, it was low, but my blood pressure actually normalized. Just sort of everything in my body just went to where it was supposed to. So I got down to my high school weight, and I've been there ever since. So
Excellent.
And I'm very grateful.
Are you sugar-free as well?
I'm not sugar-free entirely, and I'm not dairy-free entirely. But I have seen where sugar definitely has a bigger impact on me than I thought originally. And what I tell people is, there's this unlayering process in your body that occurs, and you have to listen to what your body's telling you. So as much as I want to be here eating my cookies and eating what I'm making, and I really have to keep it balanced. And that's so important to everybody, because if you don't, first you have to, heal your immune system, and then you really have to balance those things. Even if it's a paleo treat that I make, with honey or maple syrup or coconut sugar, I keep those very, very small. And dairy for me seems to be fine. I do think that I know that there are a lot of people that are very sensitive to dairy.
Right.
I think the number's over 50% of people who have celiac disease also react